Hello, geometry students. This seems a little weird. I just got done giving an algebra lesson to students I don't even know, so I do feel a little bit more comfortable now that I know who's listening to me. But this is going to be a little bit difficult, so feel free to email me with questions. But here is the next lesson. All right, circles have arrived. We've got 3 standards in a row on circles, and this is the first one. So this is a lot to take in. But there's basically 4 different types of problems. So I tried to split this little teeny tiny baby slate into 4 sections. Section 1 over here is an angle. Well, before I get into that, let me give you an overview. We're going to be figuring out how many degrees are in an angle that's associated with a circle. So when I talk about an angle, I'm specifically referencing its vertex. And the vertex on an angle is where the 2 rays come together. So the point of the angle. So on this first example, the vertex E is the center of the circle. All right, here E is inside the circle, but it's not the center. So center inside, but not the center. E is the vertex way out here. That's outside the circle. And now E is the vertex, and it's actually on the circle. So we've got center, inside, outside, on. Those are the 4 ways I categorize the angles that we're going to be trying to find. And those are the only 4 places that a vertex could be in relation to a circle. It could either be at the center, it could be inside of it, not the center, it could be outside of it, or it could be on the circle. And now, for those of you that like algebra, we do have some nice algebraic equations that help us find this. We have angle AEB, when it is the center, is equal to AB with a arc over it. You guys are used to seeing a straight line over AB, and that represents a line segment. Now we've got a little curve over AB, and that represents the word arc. An arc is just part of the circumference. All right, the circumference of a circle is a fancy name for the perimeter of the circle. So the circumference of the circle is all the way around the outside of the circle, but that's usually associated with distance. So you would say the circumference is 12 feet. You could wrap a 12-foot string around this circle. Arc doesn't reference distance, it references degrees, just like an angle does. So a circle has 360 degrees in it. So there's 360 degrees on this circle, and between A and B, that arc has, it looks like about 1/4 of the circle here. So that would be about close to a 90-degree arc from A to B. Now, the arc and the angle, the degree measure of the angle, are exactly the same when the vertex is at the center. That's the easiest one. There really is no math to do. If you have a problem that tells you what the arc of AB is, you'll know what this angle AEB is because it's the same thing. These 3 are a little bit trickier. They're not going to be the same, so you're going to have to do a little bit of math. So when it's inside the circle, E, the vertex, then you have to take the arcs of, 2 different arcs. So we're trying to figure out ultimately what is AEB? What is this angle right here on the top? Well, you need more information than just the one arc. You need the arc of the angle that is the same measure as the angle we're trying to find. So how do I explain that? We're trying to find angle AEB. Well, angle CED has the exact same degree measure as AEB because they're vertical angles. So this angle right here is the same as this angle right there because they're vertical angles, and vertical angles are equal. But you can tell that arc AB is a lot bigger than arc CD. But if you add those 2 arcs together and divide by 2, you're basically taking the average of those 2 numbers. That's how you take an average. You add them together and you divide by how many things you added together. Well, in this case, we're adding 2 things together, so we divide by 2. So arc AB plus arc CD divided by 2, that's going to give you the average of those arcs, which will be equal to the degree measure of one of these degrees. All right, and that's what this formula is saying right here. So you you take the arc of AB plus the arc of CD, you add them together, you divide by 2, and that's what your degree of your angle is. All right, if it's outside, it's really similar to this, but now you're subtracting instead of adding. So you're taking your big arc AB and your little arc CD, and now you're subtracting those arcs. So when you subtract them and divide by 2, then you'll have how many degrees are in the angle AEB. All right, now if it's on the circle, your vertex E is on the circle, now there's really only one arc to deal with that it's creating. It's creating the arc between A and B, and there's nothing to add or subtract with it. You just divide it by 2. So if it's the center, it's the easy one. They're the same. The arc and the angle are the same. This angle is the same as arc AB, and this angle is the same as arc CD. If it's not the center, you have to add your arcs together and divide by 2. If it's outside the circle, you have to subtract your arcs and divide by 2. And if it's on the circle, you just have to divide by 2. Seems pretty easy until you start trying to do problems, and it's like, oh, which formula am I supposed to use here? You know, it's 4 different things. It can be take a little bit of time to get used to which one to use where. But that is the whole lesson. This is what we would be doing all week, and I would just give you a whole ton of examples of each one, and then I would make up problems that combines them, and they would start to get trickier and trickier as the week went along. But this is your introduction to it. That's basically what we're going to be doing this week. So I will also try and explain it a little bit on paper with maybe some more examples, but it's hard to draw circles and stuff on paper. With the computer, I'd have to do it by hand and upload it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that, but hopefully this gives you the gist of it, and you'll be able to solve the problems that I'm going to assign to you out of the book, which the book also has examples in there and explains it. So part of your assignment will be to read the page or two before the problems I assign. And then between the book, reading those pages, and this video, hopefully that's enough to get you through. If not, feel free to email me. There you go. Have fun, people.